I think people struggle a lot with the concept that something can be both painful and empowering. It's this hurts, therefore it's bad. When taking full accountability of your life with all of the deficiencies that you have may be the most painful thing that you do when you look at yourself in the mirror and say, this is my fault. But in saying, this is my fault, those are also the first two steps of progress, because it's my fault, not anyone else's, which means it's my responsibility and my action that can change that. And I think that marrying short-term pain with long-term progress is one of the first connections that most people who are on that path have to make.
This is the lead indicator of what will be the lag indicator that I want.
People get frustrated not achieving what they want because they assume that they're going to jump across a cavern in one leap. But if you picture your goals like you're trying to build a bridge across that crevice, and every brick that you put on that bridge is progress, and each one of those bricks represents a skill that you need to learn along the way. It just takes all the way until you get to the other side that you can actually walk across. And so the walking across is the outcome. It's the external perceived achievement. But if you can reframe your progress as, what are the 100 things on this checklist? What are the 100 skills that I need, the micro skills that I need? Then you can have much faster feedback cycles of wins that you're achieving along the way. And I think if you can define it that way, then you can feel like you are winning, A, more often, but B, with higher intensity, because as you win, skills stack on top of each other. And so I give this example a lot, but I like it, is that if you learned how to do math, that's a skill. Great. If you then learn how to do accounting, that's a leveled up version of that skill, but you have to know how to do math before you can do accounting. Once you learn how to do accounting, you can learn how to do transactions and structure deals. And then all of a sudden you can become a CFO. And if you learn how taxes work and insurance work, then all of a sudden you become, and you learn how to raise money. All of a sudden you can be a rainmaker. But the thing is that the gap between rainmaker and I know how to do math feels very big. But if you look at all of the micro things along the way, you might not get your first major deal done, which is what everyone man, he did that deal and made $20 million on one signature. Must be nice, right? And it is. But if you break those things down into the requisite skills, then you can make significantly more progress along the way. And I think that is more positively reinforcing. And I'm sharing this because this has been a perspective that has served me so well in my life, because the goals that I have now take many years to come to fruition. Like I'm working in a goal that in the next probably 18 months, I will have been working on for 13 years, and it will probably come due. And the crazy thing is that the bigger your goal, the bigger your timeline has to be. But the even crazier thing is that the bigger your timeline, the easier it is. If I said, you have to learn French and you don't speak French, and you have to do it by tomorrow, it's impossible. You're not going to do it. There's no way that you're going to be able to do it. But if I said you have to learn it in a decade, you're like, oh, I could easily do it. You could probably learn 10 languages in a decade. And so all of a sudden, the goals that you have can be significantly more achievable, and you can feel like you're consistently making progress by moving out your timeline. But because people are so short-term minded, because they can't just stop scrolling over and over again, they actually make it harder for them to achieve their goals, because the only goals that they deem acceptable are ones that are on an unrealistic timeline. And so they doom themselves from the beginning. If you're a beginner just figuring out how to make your first dollar, I'm a co-owner of Skool.com. You can start for free. It's a cool setup that we have to help people do it. And right now, 54.1% of people who start a paid community on Skool make money. So we have put a tremendous amount of effort, Sam and I, into trying to remove all barriers and all friction for people who are getting started so that they have literally no excuses. The amount of detail that went into like where buttons go and what things we remove was actually a big one. Was how can we so pare this down so that people don't get overwhelmed? Because the number one reason people cancel or decide not to do something is overwhelm. And so we're like, okay, how can we funnel action into the clearest possible steps? And so it's been really cool to see the thousands of people who have made their first dollar, which is what I make all my content about it. And so it's been the ride of my life.